Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
The ordeal began in December 2023 when a fire erupted due to the negligence of a neighbor with whom we shared walls. The blaze consumed a significant portion of our condo unit, displacing us and 5 other families in the building. The devastation was not just physical. It marked the beginning of a harrowing journey with our Homeowners Association, which seemed indifferent to our plight, particularly when it came to addressing sexual harassment by their hired contractors' employees. Our HOA, without consulting us, enlisted a contractor recommended by their insurance. This decision was out of our hands because we didn't own the structural elements like the roof or the spaces between walls, which meant the contractor was responsible for the majority of the repair work. From the outset, this arrangement felt like a loss of control over our own living space. The choice of contractor was made without any input from us, leaving us with a sense of powerlessness. We were essentially at the mercy of a company we knew nothing about, tasked with restoring not just the physical structure of our home but also the sense of security and comfort that had been shattered by the fire. The contractor's unfamiliarity with our personal needs and preferences only added to our frustration. We were concerned about the quality of the repairs, the timeline for completion, and the potential for further disruptions to our lives. The lack of transparency in the selection process left us feeling sidelined, as though our voices and concerns were irrelevant in decisions that directly impacted our daily lives. This arrangement underscored a fundamental disconnect between the HOA's priorities and our own, highlighting a systemic issue where efficiency and cost-effectiveness were prioritized over the residents' peace of mind and involvement in the restoration of their homes. On the very first day of repair work, an unsettling incident occurred. The contractor's son, who was part of the work crew, made inappropriate and harassing comments aimed at us, a lesbian couple, directly into our Ring camera. His words were not just unprofessional, they were deeply invasive, making us feel unsafe in what was supposed to be our sanctuary. We promptly reported this to the HOA board during a meeting. While they feigned concern publicly, their subsequent email correspondence suggested otherwise, as they demanded more proof of the incident. Weeks passed without any meaningful response, only for us to receive a generic apology letter from the contractor. The letter mentioned a discussion about professional behavior, but it was clear that the HOA and the management company were content to sweep the issue under the rug, urging us to accept the apology and move on. Frustrated, I took matters into my own hands and contacted the contractor directly. I explained that our issue was not merely about professionalism, but about comments that sexualized and objectified us, making us feel unsafe in our own home. To my dismay, the contractor, upon realizing that the worker in question was his son, dismissed our concerns, labeling us as dramatic little girls. The irony was not lost on us, as we were both well into our 30s. His so-called apology was never for the right issue because the HOA had failed to convey the seriousness of our complaint. It was a calculated move to placate us without addressing the root of the problem. Our persistence, bolstered by legal counsel, eventually led to a reluctant agreement from the contractor to keep his son off the premises, except in emergencies. This concession, however, came only after we painstakingly sent multiple video clips as evidence. Each clip had to be carefully reviewed and edited, a time-consuming process that added to our stress. We felt the burden of proving our own discomfort and fear, a task that should never have been ours in the first place. By February, it seemed we had made some progress, but the reality was far from reassuring. The agreement felt tenuous, as if it could be revoked at any moment, leaving us constantly on edge. The contractor's reluctance to comply fully with our request was evident, and it left us questioning whether our safety and well-being were truly being prioritized. Despite the small victory, the atmosphere remained tense and the lack of trust lingered. We were left wondering if this was merely a temporary fix to appease us rather than a genuine commitment to resolving the issue. The emotional toll of having to fight so hard for a basic sense of security was exhausting, and the uncertainty of the situation loomed over us, casting a shadow on any sense of relief we might have felt. As months passed, the repair work on our unit remained stagnant. The contractor initially filed a permit with the wrong address, a mistake that seemed too careless to be accidental. Furthermore, he refused to replace subflooring that an engineer had deemed a moderate to severe safety threat. The contractor's son, despite assurances, was frequently present, lurking around the premises. His behavior escalated to stalking, as he would appear near us and then hide when we noticed him. One particularly unnerving incident involved him pacing back and forth on the roof in front of the loft window of the unit we were temporarily renting. This was not an area under construction, making his presence all the more sinister. We continued to file complaints with the board and management about the unequal treatment we were receiving and the ongoing harassment. Each complaint was carefully documented, detailing the unsettling incidents and the lack of progress on our unit. Despite our thoroughness, our emails, even those hinting at potential legal action, went unanswered. The silence from the board was deafening, a stark reminder of their indifference to our plight. The contractor's refusal to provide his son's name further complicated our efforts to seek a restraining order, leaving us feeling trapped and vulnerable. Without this crucial piece of information, our legal options were severely limited, adding to our frustration and sense of helplessness. It was as if every avenue we pursued was met with a new obstacle, designed to wear us down and dissuade us from seeking justice. The lack of response from those in positions of authority only reinforced the power imbalance we were facing, making it clear that our safety and concerns were not a priority. This ongoing battle left us emotionally drained, constantly on edge, and questioning how much longer we could endure this fight without the support we desperately needed. The emotional toll was immense. We were grieving the loss of our home, a place that was supposed to be our refuge. Instead, it had become a source of fear and anxiety. We felt disempowered, sickened by the lack of support from the entities meant to protect us. The prospect of a major lawsuit loomed over us, a daunting task that promised more stress and trauma. Yet it seemed like the only viable path to reclaim our sense of security and justice. Throughout this ordeal, the HOA's indifference was tangible. Their failure to act on our complaints not only perpetuated the harassment, but also highlighted a systemic issue within the community association's management. The lack of accountability and transparency was infuriating, leaving us to question the very purpose of the HOA. Their inaction was not just a personal affront, but a broader failure to uphold the safety and well-being of the community they were supposed to serve. As we navigated this challenging landscape, we found solace in each other, and in the support of a few empathetic neighbors who understood our plight. Their encouragement reminded us that we were not alone, even when the institutions meant to protect us turned a blind eye. Our resolve to fight for our rights and safety grew stronger, fueled by the hope that our struggle would eventually lead to meaningful change, not just for us but for others who might find themselves in similar situations. The journey was far from over, and the path ahead was filled with uncertainty. Despite this, we were resolute in our determination to hold the HOA and the contractor accountable for their actions or lack thereof. Our story is one of resilience in the face of adversity, highlighting the strength that comes from standing up against injustice, no matter how daunting it might appear. By the way, you don't need to know a person's name to have a restraining order put against them. Being stalked is illegal by law, and is enough to get the restraining order. So knowing who the person is just makes it easier for the police to do their job. And if you send the video to police, it establishes a pattern of behavior. Include any audible threats, since that will be what gets police to act. Unfortunately, without a direct threat, many stalkers are not taken seriously by law enforcement until something happens. You're not overreacting, and your HOA is likely stonewalling in the hopes you give up because you mentioned legal action. I'd say now is the time for legal action, especially if you think they tried to fake an apology letter. I'm not a lawyer, but I bet a lawyer would love to hammer that out in court. They put you in a dangerous position doing this because now you've called the owner, and the son knows that you know. It reminds me of a story I read elsewhere, with this guy representing himself in court with this defense. The police officer cited me for littering a gum wrapper. However, it was a cigarette wrapper, therefore I am innocent of the charge. Yeah, no. Doing something illegal, the above-mentioned citation being littering, is illegal regardless of your personal circumstances. Getting a reduced sentence, or sometimes no sentence, is possible depending on those circumstances, but the verdict is still guilty. In your case, OP, imagine a person calling themselves by a fake name since they were a preteen and introducing themselves to everyone by that fake name. Would that make them immune to all actions against people who only know them by that fake name? Of course not. Getting assaulted by a random bypasser is also illegal, even though you don't know the name of the attacker. So my husband went through something similar, and the board should have taken better action, but I'm thinking they don't want to loose the insurance company, or probably even be involved. It's all a lie, and it's time to lawyer up. You went through the correct steps. Now let's see them dance.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.